If you're in the market for a powerful clipper plugin, then check this one out from the Modern Metal Songwriter. It's called NovaClip. I'm going to show you how it works. So if you haven't heard of the Modern Metal Songwriter, let's check out their website. We help musicians create modern sounding songs at home. So these guys are all about helping the home producers. So it's currently on sale, it's 40% off, and if you're an Australian, it's 48 Australian dollars. So Black Friday sales, everyone's going nuts at the moment. And what's nice, there is a 3 7-day trial. So you can try this out, see if you like it, and if you don't buy it. If you do, grab a copy while it's on sale. Okay, so here is NovaClip. So there's a couple of buttons here. We've got our shape, which is kind of like hard and soft clipping. And then we've got our mix knob. When you turn this up, you push the signal into the clipper and it gets louder. So one of the things you want to do is turn on auto gain. I pretty much always use auto gain. You just turn the clipper up, you're not going to hear it get louder, but you will start to hear once it starts to clip and saturate, and you'll be able to hear what it's doing without being deceived by loudness. You also have your ceiling, which can be like the final output. So if you are pushing into this without the auto gain, you can use the ceiling to kind of level it out and find that sweet spot. THD, this is just a nice little saturation knob, and you can definitely get some nice effects with this. Now, the special thing in here is the crossover. This is really cool because you can set a crossover point where the clipper is not affecting anything below that. So we can bring this up and keep the low end nice and clean, but clip everything above 100 Hertz. And that sounds pretty cool. And our delta knob, when we push this in, we can hear the effects of the clipper. So let's try this first on our mix bus, and I will try and dial in a bit of a nice setting here.
It's not you in a wall. Fuck, I wish and need all, because all of this is getting too much to take. If I fall feeling this, would you call? Because all of this is getting too much. I think that I've had enough. Yeah, it's true that it is me. It's not you in a wall. Fuck, I wish and need all, because all of this is getting too much to take. If I fall feeling this, would you call? Because all of this is getting.
It sounds pretty cool. Adding a little bit of saturation to the mix, but it makes the mix sound bigger and richer, so it's kind of cool. So straight after our clipper, we have Pro L2. So I have a limiter on the mix here. So let's have a look at how much gain reduction the limiter is doing when we don't have NovaClip on.
It's not you in a wall. Fuck, I wish and need all, because all of this is.
So we're getting about 6 dBs of gain reduction, and we're reaching around -7 LUFS there. And when we have the clipper engaged, let's have a look at how hard the limiter's working.
Not you in a wall. Fuck, I wish and need all, because all of this is getting too much to take. If I fall.
So we're shaving off about 3 dBs with the clipper, and that's mostly just kicks and snares. So it's just chopping down those drum peaks, and it's letting the limiter work a little less, and it means the mix isn't pumping as hard when it's hitting the limiter. It sounds a little bit cleaner with the clipper on. So a great use of a clipper is to be able to boost that perceived loudness without having to pump the limiter too hard. Okay, let's try this on our drum bus. I'm gonna put auto gain on. I think with the total harmonic distortion, unless you're going for a really exaggerated effect, just a tiny bit can go a really long way, or if you want to keep it really clean, then just like don't use it at all. I think that's pretty cool. So let's have a look at our metering on the drum bus when NovaClip is turned on and off, and see how much headroom we get back by clipping this. We'll start with NovaClip on, and then I'll turn it off. Let's see how much it jumps up. So we're shaving off about 3 dBs here. It sounds pretty transparent, and that just means that this isn't going to hit the mix bus as hard. It's not going to hit the limiter as hard. We're gaining back a little bit of extra headroom in the mix. And I think that sounds pretty sweet. Now we could play the crossover and let the kick through a little bit more. So that's all the clipping that's going on when we have the delta button pushed in. But you can hear with the crossover brought up, we hear the low end that's not being clipped. Sounds pretty cool. Okay, now let's try Nova Clip as a bit of a saturation tool as a parallel with our drums. So instead of parallel compression, we're going to use Nova Clip to create a really big, crunchy, saturated drum sound and blend it in. All right, it's pretty chunky, pretty dirty. Let's turn this all the way down and then blend it in with our drums. Definitely adding some nice chunk to our drum sound, beefing them up really nicely. And in the context of the mix, I'm sure this will sound pretty good. So you can definitely use it as a saturation in parallel with your drums. Sounds really cool. And of course, you can always use this on your individual channels to rein in the peaks a little bit. So like your snare drum, let's put auto gain on. Sounds pretty transparent on the snare. You can really push that quite far, gain back a lot of that headroom that the snare peaks would normally take up. That sounds pretty good. Dig that, a little bit of the saturation, blend the mix back a bit. That sounds great on a rock snare drum where you want it to have a bit of aggression. Same deal, let's chuck it on our kick, auto gain on again. So that sounds pretty cool on the kick. When you bring the crossover up, it starts to mostly just clip and saturate above this frequency, and the kick gets a little bit clickier. It brings a little bit more attack to the kick. Makes it nice and crisp, so that could work really well if you need your kick to cut through the mix a bit better. Now let's try it on our bass. So we've got some MIDI bass here, submission audio, and it's the punk bass. So it sounds pretty dirty already. Let's put Nova Clip on and see what we can do with it. That sounds pretty good. You can clip a fair bit of that and it's not sounding nasty at all. And that might help because the bass is already a little bit gritty, so we can kind of get away with that. Maybe on a cleaner sound, you'd maybe not push it as hard, but that works really well. And so again, we're kind of just like bringing down those peaks. And that means that this mix is going to be able to be pushed harder and louder in the mastering stage, as well as adding a little bit of extra saturation to the bass, which sounds really cool in this case. Okay, and one more quick example. Let's do a bit of an effect on our vocals. So let's go for a bit of that clip distorted vocal sound, see what we can do.
I've had enough. All too much. Had enough. All too much.
So that sounds pretty cool. Let's solo this so we can really hear what's going on now.
I've had enough. I've had enough.
So you're just adding that nice crispy zing, that little bit of clip distortion, which can sound really cool in a rock song where you need the vocals to just have that extra aggression.
I've had enough.
So you might not need a clipper at the moment. You might already have like 4 or 5 clippers in your plugin collection, but if you don't and you are looking for a good and powerful clipper, definitely recommend checking out NovaClip. I think this is a great sounding clipper. I have a couple already and I think this sounds cool. I'm definitely going to use it, especially for stuff like this, like gaining effects on vocals. I think this sounds awesome. So definitely use the link in the description below if you want to grab a copy, because that helps support this channel. And it's also 40% off the moment. So obviously coming up to Black Friday, there's always heaps of specials. So if you think this is a good plugin, then definitely grab it now while it's on sale. And even if you just want to try it out, it's got a 7-day trial, so you can jump on that, give it a go. If you don't like it, don't grab it. If you think it's good, grab it while it's on sale. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support this channel, check out the description link below. Any of the affiliate links, if you use those to buy plugins, it helps support this channel. And even if you want to go to my website, check out my drum samples, my mix courses, all that stuff, really helps support the time that goes into making these kind of videos. And if you're interested in checking out some of the drum samples that I've made, check out this next video coming out where I run you through my Trigger 2 sample pack.
I've had enough.